So I basically started to follow, unbeknownst to me, the linear path in life that we're all fed, which is, excel in school, get the right job, marry a tall person. All of these are very, very big basics that we absorb from childhood. And as I checked off all the boxes, I finally reached my 30s. I was married to a tall guy, and I lived in a big house, and I had the C suite corporate job. And I had all the accoutrements. In other words, I accumulated several degrees that, I don't know, I guess really pleased my parents. And I found myself not only depressed, but suicidal.
Welcome to the Mindful Method podcast, where we don't just fill your ears, we fill your mind with the tools to enhance your emotional and physical reality. I'm your host, Jordana Sade, here to guide you on this journey of the body-brain connection and help you take your power back to create the life you've always wanted. So grab a seat, because class is in session and our method is on the syllabus. Here at the Mindful Clinic, we're not just changing your mind, we're changing your life. One mindful moment at a time. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Mindful Method podcast. Today I am so honored to have a very special guest. This is Keren Eldad, and she is a wonderful coach. We'll obviously link up all of her Instagram handles, but this conversation I'm very, very excited about because I have a lot of personal questions that I want to ask. And prior to us just honestly getting on this call, I just found out that Keren is also a Virgo and a projector. So you guys, you're welcome, all of you, for this conversation because I'm sure it's going to hit a lot of you exactly where you need it. So welcome to the podcast, Keren.
Thanks, Jordana. It's a pleasure to be with another friend, another
Um,
freak.
Another freak, I think, is the best way to put it. So you've been a coach for a little while. You've got a great
Yeah.
presence online, and I'm so curious. I always want to know, like, tell me your story. Like, what brought you to where you are?
I became a teacher the same way most people become teachers. They experience grave trauma and they come out the other side. And then the impulse is stronger than we are to help everybody else basically avoid the same amount of trauma and the same amount of years. That sound familiar?
God.
It sure does, doesn't it? I
Yeah.
remember I basically am one of those freaks who really did everything right all my life. I
Mm,
was an exceptional student. I was naturally thin. uh, I was terrible at sports, but really that was pretty much my only shortcoming.
mm,
I was great at getting guys to like me. All of this worked out for me. And so I basically started to follow, unbeknownst to me, the linear path in life that we're all fed, which is, excel in school, get the right job, marry a tall person. All of these are very, very big basics that we absorb from childhood. And as I checked off all the boxes, I finally reached my 30s. I was married to a tall guy, and I lived in a big house, and I had the C suite corporate job, and I had all the accoutrements. In other words, I accumulated several degrees that, I don't know, I guess really pleased my parents. And I found myself not only depressed, but suicidal. I remember being in a shower one night in my early 30s, listening to ABBA's My Love, My Life, which is, by the way, the only sad song they ever recorded, and sobbing so hard, thinking the only way out of this sham of a life, this job that does look great but doesn't light me up, this house that is beautiful but is in Zurich, which is the saddest and most horrible city in all the world, if you ask me. For a
mm,
New Yorker, it is. And married to a guy I could not stand the sight of. I was living in the library of my house because I just couldn't stand him. He was so abusive and it was so miserable. It was like sleeping with the enemy type experience.
mm.
And I didn't understand first how I got myself into such a mess, but I definitely didn't see how I was going to get out. And the only answer that came to me in that shower was, all right, I guess I should just kill myself. Suicidal ideation is extraordinarily common. I didn't know that at the time. All I knew was I, an overachiever, have failed miserably. And that, luckily, was the turning point. I don't know how, Jordana, but I snapped out of it. I got out of that shower. I remember thinking, oh my gosh, what are you doing? Low point, like in that movie, The Holiday. Just
Mm,
what is happening? And then I remember not really thinking very clearly any thought except for one, which is this ends now. I'm going to sort this out. I have no idea how to get out of this. I'm pretty sure everything I've done thus far is not going to help me.
Mhm.
But all I can tell you, Karen, is it's going to be okay and this ends now. And that's when I started to look into what I had previously found as an institutionalist and an overachiever and a perfectionist unacceptable, which was the self help books and the human design and the Tony Robbins seminars. I mean, weren't those for really sad, weird woo woo people? And even as I fought that thought, what the heck is this? I kept reading and reading. And the first book, by the way, was Stephen R. Covey's The Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. Are you familiar with that book?
I haven't read it, but I've heard of it, yeah.
It should be called The 49 Habits of Highly Successful People. Just FYI, that's a complete misnomer. But it completely transformed my life. That really transformed my life because it made me start thinking that the problem was not my problems, it was the way I was looking at my problems, it
Yeah.
was the way I was thinking. And
Mhm.
this sends me down a rabbit hole that took me years, honestly, to really master.
Mhm.
But once I figured it out, my whole life changed. You know how this works,
Yeah.
right? Like you start to think differently, everything starts to manifest differently.
Yeah.
And once I got myself to the other side, I realized it was my
Mhm.
responsibility to take everybody else, to welcome them on this boat and to say, "Come on, I'll take you to the other side. It's cool."
Yeah.
I see
Well,
you're getting emotional. Why is that
I
resonating?
I can't even tell you what just happened. Like, yeah, there was I mean, so much of what you said resonates so,
Yeah.
deeply with me. I think you know a little bit about my story. A lot of my trauma happened in, like, childhood and then just kind of continued through self-destruction, escape, etcetera, but, most recently, I've had one of those, like, tower moments where, I've just very similar to you, grew up thinking I want the perfect house, I want the perfect family, all I wanna do is have a family, 12 years later, I'm married with two kids and a marriage that isn't working. And so about a year ago, I we decided to get divorced. And it's actually like a year today that there was that like real separation. So, anyways, there's just something that you were saying when you were talking about being in the shower where you're like, this ends now. And I don't know how I got myself out of there. And I just feel like no matter how much I've been through, no matter how much healing I've done, um, there's still like moments where you just have to be like, okay, like I'm gonna get on the other side of this. And it obviously resonated. I just started crying. So thank you for
It's
that.
a humbling moment. It's an important moment because the first moment is just a moment of recognition. It really doesn't need clarity yet. You don't need to know what to do. You just need a moment of recognition, of self acknowledgement that you have unfortunately betrayed yourself. There is a, so I have a new book called Gilded out, as you know, and this is the cover. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's
Oh,
got a big gilded cage on it and the
wow.
door is open.
Mm,
I like to say that your story, my story, that's the typical client story.
yeah,
And what really baffles everyone's mind is to realize that they're sitting inside the
yeah,
cage,
I
but
know.
also that the door's open.
Mm,
You're keeping yourself inside it.
mm,
That's the, I think that was the moment of clarity for me, which was it feels like you're trapped, but you're not.
yeah.
And maybe you haven't really found your way out yet, but you're not trapped. It just has to end.
And would you say, just from your own experience, that one of the reasons why we don't see the door open or don't see the other way out is because we stay like trapped for fear? Like, are we
No,
operating from a fear place?
no. Of course we are, but we don't know that. The reason we stay trapped is because the illusions are delicious.
Mm.
They're so yummy.
Oh, that was so well put.
I mean, you're in a
Wow.
golden cage. You're literally in a golden cage. I have a marriage. It's 12 years. Look at me on Instagram. Look at my children. Look at my skin. Everything is going so well for me. On Instagram, I looked fantastic. I remember one time, Jordana, I was sitting with my ex husband, who was abusive once again, at
Mm.
a brunch table. And when he got up to go to the bathroom, a bunch of girls came up to me. This is in New York City and said, "You guys look so great together. You are so lucky."
Oh God.
And I went, "Oh, thank you. I am so blessed. Hashtag blessed."
Yeah.
And inside, I'm screaming, I wouldn't wish this guy on my worst enemy.
Mm,
It's delicious.
mm,
The fear is what's keeping you in here, but what's really happening that's keeping you in here is the bargaining that you're doing in your head. It's not that bad. It's okay. I can make this. I can make this work. I'll figure this out. What's another year?
Mm-hmm.
What's another year?
Yeah.
That is a gilded cage. What really happens to us is we become swans, very, very beautiful birds, right, with magnificent plumage, who have to pedal furiously under the water to appear as though we are gliding. And if we ever stop pedaling, we will drown from the weight of the plumage. It's a perfect analogy.
Wow.
It's a perfect analogy. And I think that's why overachievers are, by the way, we are, by the research,
Yeah.
much more prone to depression, much more prone to anxiety, much more prone to divorce. You name it, we got it. We're
Mm-hmm.
perfectionists. We are people who are obsessed with gaining and attaining more. This doesn't have to do with your level of success, friends. You can be a perfectionist parent. I'm just letting you know. You can be a
Right.
perfectionist grower of tulips.
Yeah.
We are obsessive, and in obsessively thinking or trying to attain external validation or external success, we start to dig our own hole. And that
Mm-hmm.
hole just gets bigger and bigger. And unfortunately, the second thing that happens is when we finally realize something is wrong, our impulse is then to work harder.
Yeah.
And unfortunately,
Fix, fix, fix.
that's going to make things
Mm.
worse.
Worse. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. The only way out is surrender. And the only way to surrender is to do what I did in that shower and what you just did, which is let go.
Mm-hmm.
This ends now.
Mm-hmm.
This ends now. And I like to say I wanted to call Gilded Workaholics Anonymous
Yeah.
because it is a 12-step program.
Yeah.
And the first step is just admit that this doesn't work anymore. That's it. That was the beginning of my journey. I can't tell you for sure how it ends because I'm still in my 40s, but I can tell you that for now it has ended very, very well.
Mm-hmm.
And when you find that paradise, you really do want everybody else to come with you. I think that's what makes you a teacher.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also feel, and this is if you're following human design at all, so I'm a projector, but I'm a 3/6 profile. So like that
Mm.
I'm like trial and error. And it for a Virgo, like trial and error is not acceptable. Okay. If you
Yeah,
do it right or
it's
you don't
terrible.
do it at all. So there's so much conflicting energy with me, but I always find that when I go through these tower moments, like looking back on my life, in every single moment where I felt that stuckness of like I can't get out, like what I don't know how the fuck to get on the other side of this. It's always because I've needed to learn something that I now then share and teach about. Like every client that comes my way literally goes through the same energies, the same like theology, like the things that I'm learning. They're just like a couple steps behind me, and like I'm just
Yeah.
like, all right, come along with me. So super powerful. But you talked about, when you create this paradise, right? And of
Mm.
course, we're always evolving, but in your professional opinion, how do you create the life that you want?
Mm. By letting go of the one that you thought you were supposed to have.
That's so scary.
I know.
I'm
What
already like, sweating.
you and I are both institutionalists. We're academics.
Mm,
And as a result of that, that made us basically try to pursue the life we want by attaining more knowledge. Attaining more knowledge is always the solution. Trial and error is absolutely not a
mm,
thing because that would be winging it. And people like us do not wing it.
mm,
But the solution, the real correction of your soul, lies in winging it. It lies in removing all of that which your ego has attached to as a form of keeping the world safe in order to really understand what safety is. When I was a kid, I used my intellectual ability to form a distance between me and a world that scared me to death. This has kept the world at bay. When I reached my early 30s, I started to realize, who am I kidding?
mm,
There is no safety. So
mm,
maybe stop using it. Maybe
mm,
start using other qualities like your intuition and your kindness and your
mm,
self knowing, knowing that you have a place within yourself that can never be hurt. That is real resilience. Intellectual dominance is not real resilience. Do you see
mhm.
what I'm saying here? In other
Totally.
words, start shedding all of the parts of yourself that you think are not useful
Mhm.
in order to find what really is.
Totally. And I think just pulling from what you said, what really came through to me, because obviously you saw I had a visceral reaction when you said you got to let go of the life you think you want. I was like, whoa, wait a second, because the initial like trigger with that, like the activation that comes from that, is like, but what if I don't get what I want? Right? It's like,
Then your ego is unfortunately still in control. Enjoy
oh
purgatory.
yeah, oh god,
Have another helping of your neurosis.
but I think the truth is that I don't know. I'll speak for myself, but also for my community. Like half the time we think we want something, but that isn't even really what we want. Right. And so when we can
Maybe.
surrender to that, like when we can surrender to like, okay, I got to let go of all of this stuff and kind of like let God, universe, whatever you believe in, guide me, we end
Yeah.
up in a place where we do get everything that we want.
I think it's a binary choice that's trapping you right now, even in the reasoning. When I like to visit my teacher, my favorite teacher, once a year. Her name is Esther Hicks, the great Abraham
Love
Hicks,
her. Love
the
her.
irreplaceable Esther. I hope she never dies.
Mhm.
Um, and every now and again, someone comes up to her with a huge desire and says, "But I don't understand what you're saying with the idea of surrender.
Mhm.
Do you mean that I won't get it until I'm 90 and I should be cool with it, or do you mean I should just let it go entirely and see what happens?" And she goes, "Oh, honey, you can't do either. But here's what I am asking you to do. I'm not asking you to relinquish the desire, the life you want, quote unquote, what you want, quote unquote. I
Mhm.
am asking you to release the suffering around it, the
Ooh.
suffering around it, the obsession with it, the obsession of worrying whether it'll happen or not happen. That is what's tripping you up. It is never the desire itself. Desires are from the universe or from God. There's nothing wrong with them. They're yummy and fun and great, and enjoy them. Do not make them your outcome. Do not make them a must, because the second you do, your ego has identified with them, not your soul, and they are no longer within your control. That's when I say, to ask yourself to really let go of the life you thought you should have really allows you to have a little bit of perspective and to let yourself have a little agency in choosing the elements that truly are of your soul and the elements that are truly of your personality, and treat them with adequate respect. For example, the materialism hasn't gone away. That Virgo energy, my friend, it loves a good pretty outfit. Unfortunately, that is nonsense. It's
Yeah.
complete nonsense. It's a
Totally.
figment of my sensual human desire. So now
Mhm.
I understand, I don't quell the desire. I just don't make it mean more than it does. It's
Mhm.
not particularly important. It's not useful. It's fun. It's cherry on the cake.
Mhm.
What really is interesting to me is the act of creating something that I genuinely love,
Mhm.
not the money or material that comes on the side. And therefore, the money or material that come on the side no longer cause me suffering. They don't have my attention anymore. Does
Mhm.
that make sense?
Totally.
That
Perfect.
means that the life I wanted to have, a life of private jets and whatever nonsense we wanted as kids, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What I am getting is the one that I truly deserve and want.
And so you're in that moment in the shower where you're like, enough, no more. Okay. I have to let go of of this life. I got to step out of the birdcage, and let go of the life that I think that I wanted. How do you, if when you're in that place where you're just like so, I want to use the word brainwashed, but you're so in this cookie cutter lifestyle that does not work for you, how do you create that life when you don't know what you want really?
Well, step one is not going to please you or anyone listening. Burn it to the ground. The first step, and I don't mean you have to kill your kids and leave your husband and burn the house down. It means you have to destroy the illusions. You have to be very, very honest and say, "This is not for me. This is not for me," and I will go willingly. I will go willingly. I will face the consequences. I know what my non-negotiables are, and I know what my negotiables are. The negotiables are going to go. In that moment, God collaborated with me. I don't know how this happened, but because I genuinely did not know what to do other than, I don't know, pick up a book and initiate a divorce. Those were literally the only things that I knew what to do. I was young too, right? And I had never been exposed to any form of self helpery on account of the highfalutin academic institutional upbringing. I moved my stuff into, well, what was remaining of my stuff, because he took most of it out of the house, and that was legal apparently in Switzerland. I put most of it in storage. I moved out of Zurich and back to New York. I couldn't find a job for more than 6 months. Then the storage burned down. And then both of my cats, who were my absolute non negotiables, died within 2 weeks of each other.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm in the middle of a giant shitstorm, which I then later, having gone through this with so many of my clients, realized is part of what has to happen. Your new life always costs you your old one. Always. This does not necessarily mean fires or grief, my case is biblical and rather extreme. But I
Mm-hmm.
also feel like maybe I wouldn't have gotten the message otherwise. So
Mm-hmm.
we are always sent what well, we are often sent what we can handle. In some cases, unfortunately, it's a little too aggressive if you ask me. And the point is, I did basically take the time to dismantle the structures that I could have dismantled. My career was a structure I could dismantle. I dismantled it myself. And my marriage was also something I could dismantle myself, and I did. They were both horrific, very, very difficult processes. Anyone who's ever been through a divorce knows it's not super duper fun to lose all your things and to be on the receiving end of someone being very angry with you. And the same thing happens with careers, right? A pivot of a career, a true pivot, is really hard, requires serious soul searching. But the good news is when that stage is done willingly, it goes easier. So if you're out there and you know that there's something in your life that is truly a gilded cage, open the door and be willing to part with some friends who are not true friends, with businesses that are not for you or jobs that are no longer serving your soul, and with partners who are truly misaligned and have been for years. And
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty much it. That's the first step. The second is I went through a very, very, very deep process of self exploration. Now, here, Jordan, I have to tell you, I agree with you and I agree with Brene Brown. There is no coming to the other side without a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Most of us, even, sorry, especially the ones who are intellectually able,
Oh
cannot
God.
do this alone.
Yeah.
And that's because we're covered in bias. We're drowning in bias. We've got a crusty layer of bias on our windshield, and we can't see through it. But a teacher can see through it with laser focus in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
I like to say particularly projectors, but that's
I know.
obviously because I'm biased. See what I did there? Towards us.
Yeah.
I couldn't have done this without a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Brene Brown waited 8 years until she finally saw a teacher. We all come to knowing the way we do, but after the process, you'll never be the same. That's
Yeah.
the best part.
Yeah. You're so right. And I can resonate with so much of what you just said. Like, I believe I left the divorce willingly, but then like all the things that I wasn't willing to let go of, the 4,000 square foot mansion right on the lake, the like everything just crashed and burned. Like I'm literally interviewing right now in my parents' house in the closet, like I'm like right where I started my business, right? And so when you go from like having everything, seven-figure business, like all the material, like all the bags, all the shoes, to like, oh my gosh, now I'm back in my parents' closet, literally interviewing an amazing coach. It is that crash and burn moment, but uh I just love what you said. The things that you do willingly happen a little bit easier, but there were still things I wasn't willing to let go of, and universe was like, no, like gone. No,
We're going to take them
yeah,
from
we're
you.
taking it.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
the universe collaborating with you. But another thing that'll help is just reframing the situation. In a
Mm,
moment where I was down and out living at a friend's house, thank God for friends because they got me through that period of brokenness and resurrection. One of them suggested at the dinner table that it's kind of sad where I am and it's really tragic and they wish they could help me more. And then the other said, "What are you talking about? Look how brave she is." And I went, "Ah, yes, not tragic, brave.
mhm,
Not sad to let go of 4,000 square foot mansion if 10,000 square foot mansion in much better city is available with
mm,
hotter husband. Who
definitely.
cares? Legit, who cares?
Yeah,
Who cares?
yeah,
Let it go.
yeah.
Let it go. The
So
only problem that we're faced with in that moment is uncertainty. And uncertainty makes us think to cling to certainty. And the only thing we know for sure is what has been. But what has been is nothing. It's poopy garbage compared to what is coming. So we must open our minds to the possibility that Chris Jenner's life is available to me. And if
mhm,
Chris Jenner's life is available to me, I will go willingly. I will
mhm.
go willingly. That was the mindset shift that basically changed everything. And I learned that in coaching. And now I get to teach everybody.
So perfectly takes me right to my next question for you. So it's, if we're clinging to this 4,000 square foot house where like nobody's happy, but the 10,000 square foot with the hotter husband and the freedom and the best life exists for us, how do we become magnetic for that alignment? Like, how do we attract that into our lives?
Well, you just talked to Natalie Holbrook, so I'm going to just repeat what the nice lady said. She is correct when she said the only way to really getting what you want is to becoming more of who you are.
Hi, babes. I am so excited to talk to you about my signature program, the Mindful Method. This is the exact same method that I have been using with hundreds of successful clients to help you heal your relationship to food, to increase confidence, and to lose weight without dieting or killing yourself at the gym. If you're sick of not feeling like your best self, if you're sick of promising yourself that you'll start again on Monday, if you're sick of going on restrictive diets only to gain back the weight, I can tell you right now that if you gained it back, it did not work. You know what's healthy and what's not. You do. You just continue to choose the unhealthy option anyways. And a meal plan will not solve this issue. There is no amount of restriction or discipline or willpower that is going to stop you from self-sabotaging. The body follows the mind. Imagine a life where you don't have to think about what you can or can't eat. Imagine a life where you feel confident in all of your clothes, where every day in every way your body rebalances and you lose all of the weight so you find the truest, healthiest version of yourself. Imagine never having to start again on Monday. This is what happens when you focus on transforming the brain so weight loss is effortless. The body follows the mind, and it's time you actually get to the root cause of your issue. If you are ready to transform and find the truest, healthiest version of you without letting go of your favorite foods, I invite you to fill out the application in my bio. And if you're a good fit, we'll be in touch soon. Back to regular programming.
People do not enjoy this, especially academics, because all we understand how to do is how can I use more force and work myself more to the bone to make it happen?
Mm,
What's wrong with that statement?
well, there's force in general. I can't make anything happen. If you have to make it happen,
Very good.
ego's involved.
Gold star for you.
Oh,
Make it happen is what ended us up in this place in the first place. Is
mm,
that what you want?
oh my God.
No. So,
Yes.
what if we instead allow it to happen by knowing who we are, by for the first time in our lives realizing what we're really worth and making that non negotiable?
Mm,
From that place, you become magnetic because who doesn't want to be around that energy?
mm,
Before, when I started my business, I studied at the knee of many manifesting generators and generators in general. And they all taught me how to sell with aggression.
mm.
One of them told me if somebody ever tells you that they can't afford coaching, ask them how many credit cards they have,
Wow.
which for some reason made me throw up just a tiny bit in my mouth.
Yeah.
Others explained to me how important non negotiable contracts were and that if somebody paid you in full, you never pay them back.
Mm,
These are practices that simply did not sit well with my
mm,
soul.
mm,
Oh, and so many told me that ICF accreditation isn't worth nothing and who cares about academic
mm.
backgrounds. Twin institutionalist, that sounds like claws on a chalkboard.
I know.
So I didn't really understand why this was bothering so much, but I heard them and I saw that they were successful. So I thought, let's do it their way. Let's manifest our next mansion and hot husband by doing it their way. Let's go on 5 dates per week, be on 3 apps, make sure to hit everyone with our email list every single day, and then follow up with them ad nauseum, and everybody will love me. Within 6 months, I didn't like it at all. And I started to realize the clients who were aligned there were the ones that found me, and that the
Mm,
dates I did not hate were people that I just kind of organically met. Like this one guy I met when I was buying a croissant at San Ambrose on the Upper East Side. I liked him a lot better than any of the Tinder swipes, right?
mm,
This is when I start thinking, suspecting that something is up.
mm,
And it's way before, by the way, I discovered human design or anything like that. I just started to make the decision to do things my way, to do things in a more organic way, and to do things in a way that is aligned with the law of attraction. The law of attraction means like attracts like. That
mm.
means garbage, desperate, force energy will meet garbage, desperate, force energy. If you need to attract a soulmate that you need to control and give ultimatums to them,
Oh,
they are not a very good First of all, they're not a soulmate. They're not a very good partner. But
mm,
if you truly are ready to understand who you are and what you prefer and own it, you will attract something who also knows who they are and are ready to own it. They're a delight to be with. They never ask you for things that are unsolicited, and you don't do anything like that to them either. You live a happy and harmonious life away from the clutches of evil codependency, the bastion of perfectionists. And it's exactly the same with money.
Mm,
Once I started to relax and understood that I was a good teacher, I'm a decent person, I have great ethics, I will always serve you
mm,
if you give me the chance, they started to find me.
mm,
And that's pretty much it. That's the job. And then you can hire other people who are happy to make connections for you. But your job is to still just be a good teacher, know who you are, be clear on your values, and be cool with it. Am I always like that? No. But most of the time. Most of the time. And that's how we create a future that feels a lot better and a lot more aligned than ever before, which is the entire job, right?
yeah.
I hope that was helpful.
Oh God. Like I'm in therapy right now. So it's so interesting because I'm gonna share something personal and then we're gonna talk about relationships. But in the past, and if anyone who knows me intimately, like my friends, knows this about me, it's that forcing energy. I zone in on one man and I'm like, that's the one I want. And I will do anything to get that man. And in every situation where I have operated from that way, okay, yes, when I met my ex-husband, he was in another relationship. I was like, nope, break up with her. You're going to be with me. Got pregnant really early. 12 years later, nobody's happy. I did this again after divorce. I found one person. I'm like, this is the one I have to have. Manifesting like crazy, listening to all the frequencies, like doing all the like witchy whatever work behind the scenes. Got into a relationship with him. Total narcissist, addict, abusive,
Mm.
couldn't get out, lost like 15 pounds in 1 month. Like I was just drawn awful. Cheated on me with hookers, like doesn't matter. But
Ugh.
like the energy that I'm trying to communicate here is that every time I feel that codependency, that anxious attachment, that I have to have it, I have to push for it, I have to force it, it's literally bit me in the ass, like
Yeah.
so overtly. Um, and so I'm dating somebody right now, but it's like very up in the air. But one of the things that we've talked about a lot is he's quite a bit older than me, but he has a hard time committing. And so
Mm.
at first it didn't bother me at all. I'm like getting to know you. But now that I know that, I'm like, well, I don't know how much longer I can waste time here. And like then I start to feel that forcing energy of like, I want him to commit to me. If he's not going to commit to me, then I'm going to leave. And don't you know my worth? And already I'm like, I don't know my worth, obviously, if I
Of
am
course,
here.
if you're asking that. Well, maybe
Yeah.
you'll finally learn your lesson. And the lesson is not to pick a lane, it's not the outcome. The lesson is to surrender and to allow things to really flow to you that are for you rather than to make things work for you. The problem is for most of us, we're really running on the energy of the personality or the ego. We're not really running on the energy of the soul. Your
Mm,
soul knows it's okay, first of all, knows
mm,
it's always okay, loves everyone, wants harmony and peace, and to have a really good time around here. Your personality absolutely insists on drama
mm,
because, yum, drama, I'm
mm,
alive. Clearly, I'm doing something right if it's dramatic. When your personality serves your soul, you will be happy. For
mm,
now, unfortunately, you are harnessing that magnificent soul to your ego, to your personality, and you're dragging it behind you. And it's like, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. Please stop it. Stop it. And you're like, no, no, come on. I promise you this one last round. This is going to work for us.
My soul won't have one last round. Like it's
Yeah.
done.
And I hope so. At
Yeah.
some point, one of them has to get louder. And it is my enormous hope it's going to be your soul. By the way, for most of us, it's around middle age.
Mm,
The soul essentially enters a cage fight with us. And guess what? It wins.
mm,
It wins because time wins.
mm,
Because eventually we all become aware of our mortality. And God willing, it at least forces most of us to consider how much nonsense we are entertaining with this tiny amount of time we're given here.
mm,
If you're given a tiny amount of time, why are you wasting a second on this? Why don't you just understand that the only thing you need to do in this scenario is understand what your preferences are, speak them clearly. If they are not met, that's cool. I wish you all the best, and I
mm,
wish me all the best too. 30
mm.
years ago, there was a terrible, terrible movie that I watched called Runaway Bride. And I watched it because it was Julia Roberts and Richard Gere in
Or-
yet another garbage movie. I don't know why I didn't realize that Pretty Woman was terrible at the time, but I was young. Anyway, in that movie, she kept getting engaged. And every time she met a gentleman that she decided to reel in because she had to have him because he was hot, she pretended to like the same type of eggs he liked.
Mm,
And then it finally comes to the altar and she's bolting. Why? Because she realizes that this was all a sham. This was
mm,
just her attempt to get somebody to love her. So I'm just going to tell him that I really like scrambled eggs when in fact I don't even like eggs.
yeah.
All of these types of forcing are just forms of lying. So, really, the only way out, the only way to anything that you really want is to surrender the ego entirely and to tell the truth. And
Oh,
that's very, very hard for us to do. To
yeah.
tell the truth means for me to tell my friend, I hate that dress on you, it's disgusting. Or to say to a couple that we've had dinner with who were mind numbingly boring, no, we will not be doing this again.
Mm,
Most of us are so well socially conditioned, we won't do that, right? Yes, let's do this again. Oh my God, next time at our house. The real job of the soul is to start walking free and to start expressing itself fully and to be okay with the consequences. If you are, you're going to have a really good time.
mm-hmm. Especially because safety is an illusion. So you have to
Completely. There's nothing there.
the
Yeah, I love
consequences.
my husband is the biggest bonbon on the planet. I really married, I won the lottery here. If he should fall and slip on a banana peel, there's not very much I can do about that.
Mm,
That's how life is. So we
mm.
all have to really play the game for real. And the only way to do that is tell the truth.
Okay, so you might have just answered my question, but I was actually going to ask you if you were remarried. I was, but without
Yes.
actually asking. So thank you for sharing that. But
Yes.
when it,
7 years tomorrow.
wow, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's amazing and very inspiring. But you shared a lot, of course, and I think that one of the things that resonated the most was with me was that telling the truth component because sometimes we don't even realize we're lying, right? It just like slips out because we want to be liked so badly, even in friendships, not just relationships, right? But how how do you manifest that dream romantic relationship? Like other than telling the truth and like surrendering to the process and not making it mean something if you don't get this person, in a romantic relationship, like what are we doing to become magnetic to the thing, the person that we want?
Oh, that's it. Just don't push.
Mm,
Relax.
mm,
Relax. Be clear about who you are. Know that that is the best thing that has ever happened to the planet and watch them come to you. Also, watch out for lying. Every time we lie, what we're really doing is we're telling people what we truly believe about ourselves.
mhm.
I lie a lot about my age. It's been a disease ever since I was a kid. It's not my fault, it's my mother's fault. I remember turning 18 and my mom telling me that I have 2 years left with my arms, turning 25, and my grandma saying, "You're like a Christmas cake. It's not good after the 25. So you better get with the program." By the time I'm 30, of course, I married a dud because I'm terrified of getting older. And I remember that I think I told him the truth about my age, but I genuinely like said I was 29 for at least 2 years after that expired. Those are tiny little lies, right? Like they seem like a nothing burger to most of us. And
Mhm,
a lot of people will say, well, it's better for the algorithm, for the Tinder so that you get selected more. But
mhm,
that is a compromise of your soul.
mhm,
That is a statement to the universe that you are not comfortable with what you are. That is a tough noogie to chew on. All of these tiny compromises, they start to really make you compromise almost everything else unbeknownst to you, like a
mhm,
mosquito that can just take you out, right?
mhm,
That's what lies are like. So it's my hope that people understand that in relationships in particular, show them who you are and be okay with it because nothing that accepts anything less is worthy of your time. You really want love, you want someone who lets you be exactly what you are, who makes you feel safe even though there is no safety. That is love. Anything less is not love. When I hear people say, "I'm hiding my shopping from him," I'm like, why?
mhm,
Or don't tell him that I was here. Why?
mhm,
That's, that's insane.
mhm,
Why not tell them the truth and watch what happens? Why not tell them that you like your eggs scrambled, damn it?
mhm.
Period, the end. And let yourself find someone who's like, well, I happen to like hard boiled eggs, but good for you. That sounds delicious. Do you see what I'm saying?
Of course.
Honesty in relationships is the most important thing. That's the first thing I would say. The second thing I would say is I would really, really make it inevitable. I think most people do not believe in the concept of soulmates and do not believe it is inevitable. That means that most of their beliefs are absolute garbage and make them believe that if this guy doesn't work out, then I am out of options.
Yeah.
The apocalypse took all of them and Karen got the last one. So he better commit because if not,
Yeah.
I'm down to my last egg.
Yeah.
We can't play that way. That's literally like saying this last client, this last big contract, if it didn't work out for me, I should shut down my business. That's
Mhm.
a crazy thing to think.
Mhm.
For you, if you know that your business is fantastic and that your offering is fantastic and that you are a good teacher, who
Mhm.
cares if this client didn't sign the contract? There are 10,000 more where that came from. It's
Right.
exactly the same with soulmate love. It is inevitable, it is predestined. You cannot miss it. You cannot miss it. And once you understand you cannot miss it, and the universe has at least 10,000 paths between you and happy marriage, whatever that karmically looks like for you, you can chillax. So you don't even need the dishonesty anymore. You can
Mhm.
just be relaxed.
Mhm.
Now, again, we can come to the Esther Hicks problem. So, Karen, does that mean that I have to wait until I'm 90? No, but you don't have to be afraid of waiting until you're 90 either.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Totally.
If you make this for the universe, either give it to me by the time I'm 90 or not, the universe is going to make you wait. But if
Mhm.
you say, okay, I get it, I get it, I hear you, it's inevitable, isn't it? Yes, he has to cross my path. She has to come my way. This is predestined. My job is to just be fully me. My job is to experience full joy. My job is to truly find the most empowering version of myself. And he will line up. Yeah, that's how it works. Oh, and then, by the way, he'll come busting through your door. I
Mhm.
promise. You'll have to
Mhm.
beat them off with a stick.
Mhm.
And if people say to me, Karen, I've already done that and it hasn't worked, you haven't.
Yeah,
Hugs, Karen.
I know. I totally it's so funny how the same theories apply to so many different things,
Yeah,
whether it's manifesting a relationship, weight loss, health, like money, it's all the same thing. It's just and what's funny for me is while I no longer struggle with weight or eating or anything like that, when I'm listening to clients in that place, like the thing where your wound is, like where you
yeah,
feel that unsafety is like where you can't let go, right? Because you're just
yeah.
like terrified. For me, it's always been in like love and relationships. So I'm learning a really fun lesson this year, a couple of times. But I was just gonna say, and I think you pointed something out really nicely that I think it's very easy for myself and even for clients to fall into the habit of, well, but this is better than the last one. Like this one's not abusive. He treats me nicely. But I'm still not getting exactly what I want. Like it's not a
That's
hundred
right.
percent aligned, right? So then where do we go? Like, well, we are two humans with different values. Where's compromise fit in
Oh,
this?
easy. It's not compromise. I despise that word. Compromise means win lose. I win, you lose a little, I win a little. No, it's only win win. And here's how you get there you start relaxing and trusting the process. You go with the flow, and each decision will bring you to a path of least resistance. You will cross the gate, you will cross the gate, you will cross the gate until the gap will close for you. I'm going to illustrate this with a great story about cats.
Please.
It's a really good story.
I love cats. Let's
I'm
go.
obsessed with cats. I love cats. I would be covered in cats if it were socially acceptable. I have two because Ryan, my husband, has cruelly limited me to only two cats. And, but then something amazing happened. I've always thought about getting a new cat because I'm constantly following cats on Instagram. And of course, just like new dresses, you just start thinking, yay, new cats, right? Great. But I know that Ryan has limited me to just two cats.
Mhm.
And I want a happy marriage. So I start buying into the nonsense premise that my preference is silly and let's just suppress it for a while. Then one day, Ryan is out on a walk and he finds a cat in a tree. He calls me. He says, Karen, there's this cat in a tree. He seems very hungry. He seems very friendly. He looks like he hasn't eaten in a month. What should I do? And I went, stay there. Run downstairs with my little kitty carrier, pick him up, bring him home. We spend the next few days delousing him, getting him rid of all of his diseases. He was very sick, getting him all cleaned up, getting him neutered. I'm thinking, wow, the universe has sent me a cat. My prayers are answered. Taking the bait, becoming conditional. I'm literally explaining to people how these things happen. It's like if you're dating and you meet a really hot guy, but he and you don't agree politically. Anyway, that's the point I'm trying to make here. This young lady from the building came forth. She said she heard that we found a cat. That's her cat. She would like us to give her back the cat. I resisted and I fought with all my might until I realized this is not my cat. This little girl wants her cat back. And she was sobbing, and my husband is a pushover. And anyway, we had to give her back Buddy, the cat, the greatest cat who ever lived. I'm very happy to tell you he is very, very well, very happy. Then I move on and I think, all right, so that means I have to buy a cat. Then I start researching ragdolls and thinking about breeders and finding ways to buy a cat. I finally find the right cat. I put down a deposit, and something does not sit well with me. I just don't feel comfortable about this. I don't know why. Cat people in general, just so you know, we don't buy cats.
Mm,
We adopt cats who need
mm,
a home. We
mm,
don't enjoy encouraging breeding. So this decision, I go back, I go forth, and I think to myself, Jordana, Karen, you are so enlightened, you're practically floating. How is this a tough decision for you? Not realizing this is a very important point for all the listeners. Your feelings are telling you something is wrong.
mm.
Your feelings are telling you do not walk this walk. Find the path of least resistance. Yes, yet again. And my path of least resistance was let it go. Today, not 2 hours ago, I had a client who died in October. Her husband called me just 2 hours ago to say, her cats are left behind. I cannot take care of them. Will you take them? And I said, yes. It was a clear, resonant yes. Do you see the difference between yes, this is it, and can I make this happen? How can I make this happen? How can I steal this for myself and keep it? How can I buy it for myself? How can I allow them to just come here? Perfect story. Thank you very much.
Literally perfect.
Now I'm going to have to buy a new house,
Yeah.
move to a farm, and
Mm,
figure this out. But my point is,
allow it, not buy it, but yeah.
allow it is a hell yes, and take it is usually a struggle. And
Mm,
that is the difference. And no relationship worth having is a struggle.
yeah, so right. Um, that just honestly clarified everything. So, and how hilarious was that timing 2 hours ago, like just for this podcast
I don't know about
alone.
that. I think that there are no accidents. Just like you had a mock podcast with Natalie before the real podcast, I
Mm,
think timing is divinely planned. There are no accidents. I was supposed to have this conversation today.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
Okay, Karen. So, can you just tell us a little bit about your new book? I mean, I'm sure at this point all of my listeners are like so fully bought in on you and your even just your coaching style, the way you communicate things. It's very projector. So, if you had asked me now at the end of our conversation, I would know immediately what you are. But they'd love to know more about you, where we can find you, and ideally purchase the book. Like, I want to read it.
Well, thank you. Gilded is the book about breaking free from the cage of ambition, perfectionism, and the relentless pursuit of more, also known as Karen's former neuroses. And I think many people can identify to these things. They are entrapped by their own ambition, their own relentless pursuit has started to consume them. They're overwhelmed, and their perfectionism is so punishing that they just can't deal with it anymore, right? Because it also takes physical ramifications. It fucks with your hormones, it messes up almost everything. These things become real malaise. And so for people who've always excelled professionally or as a parent or as a tulip grower, the correction of your soul lies in essentially a 12-step program, because what I'm trying to do is break the addiction. Break the addiction with the hustle. Break the addiction to appearances. Break the addiction to making your life look really good on Instagram when it doesn't feel good. What is it worth if it looks good on Instagram if it doesn't feel good? And so the book is now available wherever books are sold. We are the number one new release on Amazon in business management and number two in anxiety.
Oh,
Coincidence? I think not. And it's great. I'm on tour with the book now. My website is KerenEldad.com, and it's very easy to remember as long as you remember that my name is spelled with two E's, not a Karen. Get it?
mm,
Karen.
mm,
And it's been really glorious because you know what's happened to me, Jordan, is I coach executives, founders, etc. Right? So I'm Olympic champions. I'm always exposed to these like highfalutin people. So I've
Mhm.
been touring with this and talking about the ambition detox and about my book all over the world. And I found that many people relate to this who are not classic overachievers.
Yeah.
Many people who never even considered themselves in this category are finding relief here.
Mhm.
I think that's what this is all about.
Yeah. And I think that's also too, if I can just speak also as an entrepreneur, um, why a book makes it so accessible for everyone. I actually
Yeah.
just had a session with my own mentor, also a projector. And she was like, Jordana, who do you want to coach? And I was like, I don't know, like maybe celebrities, like maybe I want to work like and she was like, that's bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. Like what do you want to do? What lights your soul up? And like for me, it really is that mental health, that like transformation of darkness to light. Like it's very for me, it's very in the depths of the underworld. But my perception of that was if I'm going to give that much energy and time to something, like then it has to be high ticket. There has to be value, like because it's so much energy for me and like I love doing it. But the perception is people that deal with that, well, they don't have money, they're struggling, XYZ. So it's it's interesting to me that you also to work with these like high achieving people but are recognizing that actually the entire world has addiction to ambition, the addiction to the more the not enoughness, the
Yeah.
like the perfectionism, the clothes, the
To
all.
being a great mom, to being the perfect spouse, to
Yeah.
being well dressed. We all have this neurosis. So
Hmm.
why not help all of them? And by the way, don't make assumptions. I always say, yes, it is high ticket, but what's it worth to you?
Mm.
What's another year of your life worth to you like this?
Yeah.
And in that regard, this is a tiny drop in the bucket, not to mention what the investment of coaching can do.
Yeah.
So just open your mind and let them in.
Hmm. Oh gosh, Karen, thank you. This is exactly what I needed today.
I'm really glad. Well, it's a pleasure to meet you all. I look forward to staying in touch.
Yeah, likewise. If you guys like this episode, please like and subscribe and share it with somebody who might need it. We will link up all of Karen's the book, her website, anywhere that we can find her. And I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I'll see you back on another episode of the Mindful Method. Bye.